All right. Good morning, everybody. Uh, Welcome to Intro to Buddhism and Meditation. Um, let's just do a quick sound check. If someone can give me a thumbs up and let me know you can hear me okay, I'd appreciate it. All right. Thank you, Carla. Thank you, Lisa. Good morning, all. We'll go ahead and we'll get started. If you can all join palms and repeat after me. I take refuge in the Buddha. I take refuge in the Dharma. I take refuge in the Sangha. And keeping the palms joined. And you can put the palms down. So good morning, everybody. Thank you all for being here. Appreciate you joining on this Saturday morning. I always like to start with a question, just to get everybody communicating a little bit with each other, also to give time for people to jump on and join us before we start the meditation practice. So I think the question I have for you today to get us started is I'm trying to think how to word this, but why is it? Well, let me put it this way: is being Buddhist important to you? It's a simple question, probably a trick question, but there's my question. We'll see what people respond with. But my question to give us a few minutes, and if you have anywhere on the screen there, you'll see a chat box. Feel free to type in your response, and I'll type the question in here for those who jump on. Is being Buddhist important to you? Sounds like such a simple question, and normally I like to share some thoughts while people are responding, but I want to try not to influence anyone's response too much. So um, maybe I'll talk about something else. I was going to chat briefly about at the beginning, as you're responding to this question, when we take refuge at the beginning, uh, and we take refuge in what's called the triple gem, the Buddha being the first one, the Dharma the second, and the Sangha being the third. I want to focus specifically a little bit right now, the Dharma being the teachings, the Sangha being the community. But I want to talk about what it means to take refuge in the Buddha, especially for those who are new. It's not about taking refuge and first looking at refuge as far as safety, comfort, protection, whatever word that might mean to you. But it's not about taking refuge in something or someone outside of yourself when it comes to taking refuge in the Buddha. And again, if you're just jumping on, welcome. My question for you this morning, before we start meditation, is being Buddhist important to you? That's the question. So feel free to chime in. I'll share some thoughts on that in a minute. But as far as the taking refuge in the Buddha, what it's really representing is taking refuge in what's called Buddha nature or bodhicitta, which is the awakened being that is within all of us. So the idea is that when we take refuge in the Buddha, we recognize that the Buddha himself was human, no different than we are. He woke up, he ate, he went to the bathroom, he slept, he did all these things, no different than we do. And he was able to figure out how to end his suffering. And that's what he taught. So taking refuge in bodhicitta, Buddha nature, is recognizing the Buddha nature that's within all of us, that we are no different than Siddhartha Gautama Shakyamuni, the Buddha himself. Now, throughout his journey, I can speak for myself and probably most of us on this call, I would imagine that the Buddha's journey led him to many moments of clarity and awakening and a deep realization into the true nature of all phenomena, which is probably different from where most of us are at. So when I say that we're no different than the Buddha, what I mean by that is not in a way to disrespect his journey or the awakening and the great insights that he had, but to recognize that we all have the potential to become a Buddha, a fully awakened being. We all have Buddha nature in us. We're just not there yet. So that's why we practice using the dharmas, the teachings with the sangha, the community, and those are the second and third things we take refuge in. But it's really important to understand that, again, for those who are new, nobody else is going to come here and save you or do things for you. It's not about what or who you believe in. It's about your day-to-day actions in your day-to-day life. That's what's important. So, all right, I think I've stalled enough. My question of, is being Buddhist important to you? Well, I'll just read the responses before I share anything. Let's see, Bridget. Practicing Buddhist ways of being is important to me, not necessarily being a Buddhist. Beautiful. Marisa, yes, although I don't consider myself a card-carrying Buddhist. Clearly, you were not there when we gave out the cards. That's every other Wednesday. So hopefully you'll be there for the next one. I need to do much more work and consider it something to aspire to. Marley, the tenets are important to me, and I love the philosophy of it, and I learn a lot, but I don't feel Buddhist. Benton, good morning. If being Buddhist is about learning, beautiful. Greg, I'd like to be, but I'm not sure exactly better, etc. Exactly what that would mean. I'd like to run more of my thoughts and feelings through a Buddhist lens. All right. And Samir, honestly, I'm not sure, but becoming more and more kind is very important to me. So all great responses. As you know, responses are never right or wrong or good or bad. They're just expressions. So I'll share very briefly a thought or two on this before we start meditation. And I would say my interpretation or view of this is probably a combination of everything what you all just shared, is that being a Buddhist and calling yourself a Buddhist is not the important piece. The important piece is putting the Dharma, the teachings of the Buddha, into your life. And with that in mind, you can be a Christian, you can be Catholic, you can be Jewish, like myself, whatever religion you are or have no religion. That's pretty irrelevant to practicing the Buddhist teachings. So someone mentioned the labels. It's beyond all of the labels. It's beyond all of the physical things. It's beyond the temples and the stuff. It's beyond all of that. It's really about having Buddha nature play out in your life. There are, I believe, and it helps for many people who take I'll use the word commitment or devotion to taking precepts or maybe even a deeper level of commitment to the Buddhist path, and that I think is important from a motivation and inspiration standpoint, but also not necessary to practice Buddhist teachings. So I do find great joy and I think I think it helps with my discipline to see myself as a Buddhist. but at the same time, most important is the practice of the teachings. So something we can explore a little bit more later if you'd like. I just wanted to get us started here this morning with some thoughts. So we'll go ahead and we'll start the meditation practice. A couple things to tell you before we begin, especially for those who are new. Nothing's going to happen to you, right? You won't float away. You won't have any mystical, magical experiences, most likely. You will not figure anything out from this practice. The mind is not going to shut off. It won't stop racing. We're just going to sit. We're going to breathe. You'll hear sounds inside the room, outside, wherever you are. This is life. Life is filled with chaos, and this practice is learning to get quiet and still within all the chaos. So posture, just sitting up straight. If you're on a cushion, slide into the front third, allows the back to straighten. Shoulders are relaxed. Hands can be on the knees or in the lap. I'll guide us as we begin, and we'll settle into a little bit of silence. Most important, don't expect anything. We're just going to sit and breathe. And starting with the eyes closed, if comfortable, or slightly open. Mouth open or closed. We'll start with taking 3 deep breaths, slowly. And eventually, settle into a natural rhythm of the breath. Noticing the mind as it wanders, jumping from thought to thought. Start with gently guiding the attention, focus, to the stomach or chest. Breathing in, feel them rise. Breathing out, they fall. Simply continuing this practice, observing sensation of breath, expecting nothing but to sit and breathe. And as the mind wanders, lost in thought, recognize it, release that thought, return attention, focus to the breath. Where's your mind? Return attention, focus to the breath. Letting go of expectations, letting go of judgment from the practice, and just sitting, breathing. Learning to be comfortable in stillness and quiet, simply sitting, breathing. Keeping the mind alert, aware of each sound, each thought, each physical sensation, yet concerned with nothing but sitting, breathing. Breathing in, follow breath in. Breathing out, follow breath out. And with the body still, rested, and the speech quiet, aware of all sounds, and the mind learning to settle, know what it's like to just sit and breathe. Knowing with each breath, there's nothing else to do, nowhere else to go, no one else to be. Everything beautiful, exactly as it is. Sitting, breathing. And once again, taking 3 deep breaths. And as you slowly open the eyes, slowly begin to move. Most important with the practice of meditation, to recognize how you feel now, immediately after. Compare this to how you typically feel throughout your day. Recognize the difference, if there is one. Ask yourselves how you prefer to feel every day for the rest of your life. And realize however you feel now, if it's quiet and calm and still, or a busy mind, racing mind, whatever you're sitting with at this moment, has nothing to do with anything I said. It's nothing to do with how you sit and hold the hands across the legs. It's not from the sounds around us or anything else for that matter. It has everything to do with your own mind and your own mind's reaction to an external condition. This is what the Buddha called pratitya samuppada, dependent origination. This is the basis of the Buddha's awakening. The word Buddha simply means awakened. He was a human being no different than any one of us who began to understand why he suffered, why he got angry, sad, depressed, stressed, anxious. He began to understand the causal relationship of all phenomena. What that means, very simply, for all of us, regardless of what we think, what we say, what we do, our entire life, things are happening. We react. More stuff happens, more reactions. That's it. This practice is learning what it's like to respond to something quietly, peacefully, still. Now, most people respond to the last 20 minutes pretty well. The question is, how do you respond to everything else that's happening throughout your day? So all we're working on is closing the gap to where the way you feel now is closer to how you feel always. Just as driven, motivated, productive, successful, whatever that means to you in your respective lives. But with a mind that's steady, clear, focused, distracted by nothing, disturbed by no one. Meditation is not necessarily easy. It's not necessarily fun. It's not an escape that's going to fix all your problems, but it is free. It's sitting, breathing, taking some time to be present with things as they are. And as I opened today with the question about whether being Buddhist is important to you or not, the practice of meditation, it's not about being Buddhist. It's not about being anything but present. So regardless of your religious beliefs or spiritual views or philosophical journeys, it always helps to learn to get quiet and just be present. It often will create a deeper insight into the nature of your own mind, allowing you to understand what you think, what you say, and what you do, and how everything around us that occurs impacts what we think, what we say, and what we do. But again, it's a challenge. If you're new to it, I suggest you just keep practicing each day a little bit, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever it is. And just try to make it a daily habit, a daily routine. So with that, I'll pause. Again, if you're new or joining us for the first time, welcome. Thanks for being here. I always like to spend the rest of the time to address questions, meditation, Buddhist practice, anything that's on your mind. There's a chat box there somewhere on your screen. Feel free to type in a question. And we'll use the next 20 minutes or so just to respond to your thoughts, your questions. And as we're waiting for questions to come in, I'll just add that, and I even said at the beginning, is being Buddhist important to you? Was a bit of a trick question because, and this may sound a bit silly, but if it's important to you, then it's important. If it's not, it's not. The practice of putting the Buddhist teachings into your life is, I think, very key and fundamental to finding a deeper sense of peace and calm and joy in your life. And so for many people, this practice and way that the Buddha taught becomes very important. I've found it to be a great journey. And the Eightfold Path specifically really is like a key to finding a deeper sense of, I think, joy out of life. So let's see, Anne, not a question, but a follow-up to your question. Even though I don't feel Buddhist, whenever I take these classes or visit the temple, it feels like a safe, calm place of refuge. So thank you. Yeah, and again, that's thanks for sharing that, Anne. I mean, that's you've heard. I know you've heard me say this a lot over the years, but the Dharma Bum Temple wasn't built and created to make people Buddhist. It was built and created to be a safe, calm place of refuge, and that's it. So we always say that no matter what you believe in or whatever madness or craziness you have going on in your life, just show up with that, and we will be a safe place of refuge for you all. So thanks for sharing that, and I appreciate it. In addition to meditating, how do you stay present in the world throughout your day? Well, I'll say this first. I mean, if meditation is the only way that you're going to stay present throughout your day, then you're going to be in a lot of trouble because most of your day is not spent in meditation. But I think it really begins to, I think it helps if you begin to see that meditation, as you probably are viewing it or potentially viewing it, is really different from how you perceive it to be. Meaning, if meditation is a concentration and focus on the present moment, which for me, that's how I have embodied, I think, the Buddhist teachings on meditation into my life, that it is the ability to concentrate and focus on the present moment. So, with that being said, everything is your meditation. So, your question of, in addition to meditating, how do you stay present in the world throughout your day? Let me first challenge you, and for everyone here, my guess is that during your meditation, you probably weren't that present for very long. And what I mean by that is you may have been physically present, right? Sitting here relatively still, looking at the screen or eyes closed or hearing my sound or whatever's around you. But I'm sure for all of us that were here, myself included, as we were sitting in meditation, our minds were everywhere. They were thinking about this morning or thinking about later today or thinking about 30 years ago, right? So your mind during this meditation practice probably wasn't that present for too long. And the challenge is to recognize the wandering mind and come back to the present moment. So it's a practice of learning to stay present. But very often, meditation is not being present at all. We might think it is because we're physically still and our body may be here, but our mind is light years away, right? So I have found it really more practical, more realistic in what I shared earlier about making everything throughout your day a meditation practice that, and I'm sure like others are better at it at times, making everything you do a meditation practice. So if you are eating, simply eat. Look at the food, smell the food, taste the food. If you're drinking, look at the cup, drink slowly, pay attention to it. If you're talking, actually have a conversation where you're focused on and listening to the person. As opposed to what we often do in those examples is we're eating while we're watching TV, while we're reading, looking at our phone, while we're reading a book, right? Whatever it might be, we're sitting there, we're eating, but our mind is doing a billion other things. When you eat, simply eat. When you have a conversation, actually focus on the person and just listen. Not formulating in your head what you're going to say or what your response is or waiting for them to stop so you can start talking, but just listen. If you're taking a walk, just simply walk. Feel the feet, a walking meditation. These to me these are all moving meditations. These are life engaging meditations. This is our life. Our life is not spent in what we typically refer to as a meditation, where we are sitting quietly in some little corner somewhere. Make every moment of your life a meditation practice. So the only way to stay present is to work on it. So for example, and again, everyone has different routines, but whatever your routine is normally when you're eating, say breakfast or having coffee, try not to do anything else but just that. Just eat, just drink coffee. If you're having a conversation, just have the conversation. Don't look at your phone, don't look away. Um, just create opportunities for you to practice being with things as they are. So I hope that helps, Jana. I think many people get this idea that if we're meditating, that means we're fully present, but we could get our posture going and we're all sitting there and we're ready and our eyes are closed and the bell hits and we're like, okay, I'm ready to meditate. What am I eating for lunch? Is my laundry done? Where's my car? Why did that happen when I was 7? Right? Whatever it is, our minds are everywhere. So don't think meditation means you're present. Practice being present in everything, and that becomes your meditation. All right, Samir, if meditation consists of watching our own mind, doesn't it naturally consist of learning more about ourselves and our own nature? I think so. There's a very fine line and a challenge there where as the meditation is occurring, if you're doing a seated meditation practice, and the idea is to observe sensation of breath and to notice as thoughts arise, there's a very fine line in recognizing the thought that arises, what that thought is, releasing it, and come back to the present moment. The challenge is to do that and become aware of thoughts as they arise, which gives insight to the nature of our mind and what we think and how we operate. But to be able to do that without chasing the thought or running with the thought. So the metaphors, very often in meditation or Buddhist teachings, you see the metaphor of an airplane, that as an airplane flies over your head, it gets louder and louder and louder and louder and louder. And then as it fades away, it gets quieter, 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 quieter. And so our thoughts are constantly doing this. Very loud, very quiet, very loud, very quiet, very loud, very quiet. So obviously, or clearly, if you begin to observe your thoughts, you get to learn more about yourself because your thoughts lead to your words lead to your actions. So anytime you do something just really stupid, which I'm sure, Samir, you would never do, but anyone else on this call potentially does something just that they really shouldn't have done, just pause for a minute and reflect on, why did I say that? Why did I think that? Why did I do that? And just begin to watch the thought patterns. So, yes, definitely, Samir. All right, good thoughts. Other questions? Meditation, Buddhist practice, anything you're sitting with? And this is not simple, right? And that's why I always tell people meditation is not the escape, that if your life is a crazy, hectic mess, this idea that you're going to escape to meditation as if it's a day spa and make everything better, that's to me not the purpose of meditation, right? Meditation really is, as I said, an intense concentration and focus on present moment, which is challenging and very difficult. So use it as moments to be present, not moments to escape, or not as moments to escape, I should say. Other thoughts or questions? And that's why I'm not a big fan of putting time on meditation. I'm not a big fan of setting, these goals or kind of structure around most meditation practices, because it really is just opportunities to practice learning to stay present. And we do have opportunities to do that our entire day. So if you're able to just still the body and do a seated meditation for a few minutes each day, that's fine. At least get that in. and then begin to see throughout the rest of your crazy day how you can also bring a meditation practice into that. Other thoughts, questions? I'm going to end a little bit early today, so we'll do one more question from anyone who would like to ask. Oh, and another comment on the being Buddhist, and I think it's really important that part of being Buddhist is really having, I think, a appreciation and respect for people that come from all different views and all different beliefs. And I find it a great Buddhist practice to not think that your own view or belief is better than anyone else's. And this is very difficult because we see things or do things we like and we want to share it. We see a good movie, we tell people about it. We eat good food, we tell people about it. Right? Whatever it is, we're constantly sharing and telling everyone about things that we enjoy. And I don't necessarily think there's anything inherently wrong with that, but Buddhist practice is really, it's a personal thing for you that you find at whatever point in time in your life you believe it's beneficial. And it's not about standing on street corners and trying to bring people in. It's not about trying to get them to believe what you believe. It's not about convincing them that they need this in their life. It's actually for you. And I call it Buddhist arrogance, but it's something that I went through very early on with Buddhism, probably the first couple of years, 2003, 2004, where I really felt like, well, I'd found this new great thing and I wanted everybody else to find it and everybody else to share it. And I actually thought that I was better than other people because I had started this Buddhist practice, and that made me kinder and more compassionate and more wise. And so I really had this kind of arrogance to it. But Buddhism, you're not using it to save people. You're using it to impact your life so you can then help others and be of service to others. But I think it's really important to not force it or push it on people, and let everybody find it at their own time. So there's a great expression that says, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. So all right, one more question here. How do you balance staying in the moment with some of the necessary planning we all do? Do you consider it a balance? Yeah, it's definitely a balance. But even the planning, right? So staying in the moment doesn't mean that you don't plan. And at the same time, planning doesn't mean you're not in the present moment, right? Like, in this present moment is the only time that I could plan something for the future. In the future, I'm not planning the future. I'm planning the future right now. I'm thinking about what I'm going to do next right now. That is what I'm presently doing. What am I going to do as soon as this is done? But you can't get there without taking one step at a time. You have to be present with each moment. And so it's important to understand that you can plan your whole life if you want, but chances are it's not going to work out remotely close to how you plan it, right? I mean, Lisa, ask yourself, has your life worked out to this point exactly how you thought it would? No. Some things maybe worked out better than you thought. Some things maybe worked out worse than you thought. And some things were kind of neutral. But either way, we can plan all we want, but that doesn't mean it's going to work out that way. And a great metaphor I like for this type of question, which is very common, is, I don't know, Lisa or anybody, if you remember those flip books, and you'd have a little book and each page was sketched or drawn just like a slight little change. So if you open up one page, there's not much to see. The next page, not much to see, and so on. But if you flip through it very fast, the whole page or the whole book tells you a story. And I look at Buddhist practice very much like that. Good. Glad you remember those. So I think that the metaphor of that book, that is exactly, to me, a way to respond to that question, which is at the end of the book, an entire story or something occurred. But that end of the book could not have occurred without every single page um, being a part of it. And every single page is deeply important, because if all of a sudden you remove 30 pages in there, then it's a completely different experience. So we can plan, but I suggest not attaching to the outcome and recognizing that each step along the way is an opportunity to be present. So hopefully that helps. Last thing I'll say on that, and then we'll wrap up, is there's often this, I think, incorrect view of Buddhists that you just sit around and do nothing, right? You can have lots of great goals and ideas and things you want to accomplish in life. And it's important to work very diligently towards those things. But I think the Buddhist practice on, whatever success means to you is understanding that you're not attached to the outcome. You're not attached to the end result. And you also know that everything along the way, including whatever end result you're working towards, is impermanent, that it will change. So whatever goals you have in life, keep those goals, work hard towards achieving them, but know that they might not work out how you thought. Maybe they'll work out better than you thought. And even at the end of the day, everything is impermanent. So this whole goal that we've worked towards, whatever it may be, even at some point in time, that will crumble. It's just the way things work. It's not depressing. It's not miserable. It's just the truth that we, as these physical beings, are here for a period of time and we will cease to exist. So I think it's important to be careful how you spend your time, because we don't know how much we get. All right, so on that, I'm going to go ahead and close. Good questions. I appreciate it. I'm glad that was helpful, Lisa. We'll go ahead and join palms as we do a transfer of merit. May any merit gained from this practice be transferred to all beings in all directions. May all be at peace. May all be free from suffering. May any merit gained be transferred to those who need it most. All right, so I appreciate y'all being here. Quick few announcements. My name is Jeff. I'm a Dharma bum. We opened up 14 years ago to bring Buddhist practice to local folks. Those of us who lead, we're not monks or nuns or gurus or masters or teachers. We're not looking for students. We're just practitioners. We do our best to take our understanding of Buddhist teachings and put it into terms that hopefully make sense to those who show up. Every night, every morning, different classes going on. Today at 2:00, I believe, right, Marisa? 2:00, we have our next book club meeting. We are reading Pristine Mind by Orjin Choang Rinpoche. Unconditional Happiness is the title. It's an excellent book. I also suggest whether you've, or I should say, it doesn't matter whether you've been to the past groups or not. 2:00 today. You can go to the website, Dharma Bums. You'll see the schedule and the Zoom info there. So whether you've missed the first few or not, it doesn't matter. Jump in anytime. The book, Pristine Mind, we do have available at Buddha for You. So Buddha for You, as you know, closed 11 months ago when the temple closed. But the online store is up and running, so you can pick it up there if you'd like, online. Yeah, I think that's about it. Please be safe. Stay home as much as possible. Wear a mask, and let's not do anything that would put others at risk of getting sick. So thank you all, and be well.